Hello and welcome back to the Confidence Summit. And with me today, I have Kiara Foster-Ba, and I'm so excited to have her here. A little bit about Kiara. She studied the 5 rhythms with Gabriel Roth, the founder, for 15 years, and Kiara appears in Gabriel's Power Wave video and in the documentary Dances of Ecstasy. She also dances with the Pure Public Urban Ritual Experiment, an international organization of artists devoted to using belly dance to promote peace and end suffering. Kiara has been offering 5 rhythms classes in New York City since 2008 and expanding her offerings to include FEM, a movement practice, to live drumming. She offers workshops throughout the world, including Europe, Latin America, Asia, and across the US. Reach out to Kiara at shakingspiritwaves.net to bring these offerings to your community. And welcome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited, and I think this is so needed. And so thank you for pioneering this work.
Thank you so much. So tell me a little bit about, I think women sometimes really suffer from body confidence. I was wondering if there's been a time where you've had a shift from kind of not feeling confident and then moving into that body confidence, and what that experience was like for you.
You know, I'm 58, so I've had, a little bit, of time being me. And I felt about all different ways about myself, as all the more ways probably than you can imagine. So it's been up and down with confidence. I would say there have been some experiences that have left me feeling less confident, and some that have made me feel more confident. Growing up in a family of slender people was really hard on me. It was really interesting because long before I became what people would call fat, and I don't like to say I am fat. I have fat. It's something that I have. I do carry extra weight, but I'm not am that. It's just a state of being that can change. We usually will say I'm sad right now, or I'm feeling sad, but we don't define ourselves as sad, because that's a state of being. So I just want to clarify that. But I definitely was the heaviest person in my family growing up. And I grew up in a family that really is anti people having fat. So my confidence was really hard won. And it was really because I just didn't believe that. I just don't believe in those limiting ways of seeing people, of feeling about people. I think people are incredible. I think we are lucky to belong to this species. We certainly do have our problems as a species, but our diversity, I think, is one of our strengths. I mean, I cannot think of another species that has the incredible range that we have, the heights and complexions and sizes and shapes. It's like mind-boggling. Mm-hmm. I think that's incredible because we know that nature celebrates diversity. Nature never makes one kind of anything, from flowers to mammals, to reptiles. Like, there's so many different kinds. So I just think we're really lucky. And I've always kind of thought that it's amazing and beautiful to be all the different ways we can show up in the world. The time probably when my confidence was the lowest was conversely from my having lost a significant amount of weight. So I grew up in a family that's very weight conscious. My father is a performer. He's a jazz musician. And so appearance was really paramount in my family, as it is in a lot of families, but particularly in showbiz families. And so I, had to be kind of defiant in order to really define myself as beautiful, because I really didn't meet my family's expectations. But I just really thought I was really beautiful. And I was really kind of surprised that other people didn't always see things the way I did, because I really believe that. However, I really got heavy with the birth of my son. I was in graduate school at a very competitive institution. And although I had thought of myself as really smart all of my life, and I did well as an undergraduate, also in an elite school, but it was really when I was in graduate school that I came across people that were not only smart, but incredibly well educated. And I was a New York City public school kid. I really just didn't have that band of knowledge base. And the way that I responded was by just having a nervous breakdown. But I say that I had the Black girls version of the nervous breakdown, because there's a lot of pressure on us to keep going no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to keep going. Here I was, an independent, newly married, pregnant, in a fiercely competitive institution. And I responded, I couldn't just break down, so I just ate compulsively, I'm like, I've never eaten like that since, but, and I don't think that every person who's overweight has an eating problem, but I really did. So I gained a lot of weight, and with the, with the birth of my son, and I never really took it off. But there was this brief period, and I just kept adding to it. I would keep gaining and losing the same 20 pounds. But in the mid-90s, I took up rollerblading, and it took me a year, but I lost a little over 90 pounds. And I kept it off for a while, but then my life shifted again, and I was in another situation where it was very, very high pressure, and this one related to my work. And I, little by little, started gaining that weight back. Now, it was really interesting because I had been so confident. I wore leggings. Like I said, I was rollerblading at over 300 pounds. Like, I was really just being myself. Then I lost the weight and got so much positive feedback from people. And I still wasn't a slender woman. It's just that, I was in the realms of what people might call a normal size of plus size rather than obese. And so I got so much positive feedback. And when I began to gain the weight back, I lost confidence. And as I said, it was interesting because I had been confident before I lost the weight. But what brought the confidence back and really sort of sealed the deal in terms of confidence for me has been movement. All my life, I've been a mover. At my heaviest, I've been a mover. I love to dance. I love movement. I love going for walks. I love being in my body. I love the sensual experience that we get to experience. And by sensual, at this point, I'm really talking about sensation, how it feels when we're walking on grass as opposed to concrete. How it feels when we're walking and fabric is touching our thighs. I love sensation. I love movement. It's so important for us as humans, regardless of what your range of movement is. You might be somebody that is confined to a wheelchair, but you still can have the movement of your eyelashes, the movement of your face, the movement, feeling the movement when you're sitting near an air conditioner and it's blowing on you. So I think that, being a sensuous being, paying attention to sensation is something that has given me amazing, amazing confidence. The other thing that I think gives us amazing confidence is when we upride other humans. I mean, I'm female, and so there's a lot of pressure on females. Tell me if I'm talking too much. You might have questions.
No, this is great. Thank you.
I think that we have to remember for at least the past 1,000 years, possibly longer, certainly in the Western culture, but in many, many cultures, the best way for a woman to realize her dreams has been to be attached to a male. A male who's a good provider, who's caring enough that he will at least stay with her and care for any children that they have had. And so since that has historically been the best way for us as women to realize our dreams, there's fierce competition among us because there's a limited pool of men who are set up to do the things that we need them to do in order for us to have that best life. And as a result, we have not been as supportive as one another in general. I'm speaking in huge generalities, in general, as we could be. What gives me amazing confidence is creating this beautiful feedback loop with other women. When I see other women, I always try to train my brain to notice what is special about her, what is beautiful about her. And that's what I speak to. And because that's what I speak to, that's what I get back. Because what we give is usually what we get back. So I think that's so important for us, and as humans in general, but particularly as women because of the history that we've had, to really upride other women, to make it a point, rather than meeting other women and looking for any chinks in her armor. Well, she's cute, but like instead of thinking, oh my God, she has the most amazing eyes. Wow, I love the way she dresses. So that is a big part of what gives me confidence. Like if you love other people, you are, of course, going to love yourself. But if you are finding that you're really struggling with feeling good about yourself, there are three things to know. One is that research tells us that we as humans have somewhere between 60 and 80,000 thoughts every single day. That's just who we are. And that because of the way we evolved, we are very likely that 80% of our thoughts, of those 60 to 80,000, 80% of them are negative. And research tells us that there are evolutionary reasons for this. That early humans had to be on alert all the time. There were lots of dangers for them. They, of course, didn't have the advantage of science, so they didn't even know if all the berries that they were eating, if they were safe. They didn't have, big teeth, claws. They didn't even have fur. So they were quite puny against not only the elements, but any animals that could be predators. Luckily, we're hardwired to be in community with one another, so they did have the support of each other. But as a result of that early experience, we're kind of hardwired unless we consciously retrain our brains to have 80% of our thoughts be negative. The good news is that our brains are very, very pliable, and we can actually, with consistent effort, retrain our thinking. And so that brings me to the second thing. One thing that I did to build my confidence is really pay attention to the messages that I give myself. First, I ask myself, is this true? Because you have these random thoughts, these random fears, these random panics, and half the time we know they're not even really true. So first I ask myself, is this true? Sometimes I can come up with evidence that shows that, it might be true. So then I ask myself, is it helpful? So what if it's true? If it's not helping me, if it's sitting me in a panic, so that let's say that it's about something that I'm not sure if I did something, and it's something I really needed to do. And I remember, I'm not sure if I did that. And then I think back, you know what? I don't think I did it. Oh my God. And I start having these thoughts about how I'm incompetent, how I never get anything right. I'm like, wait a minute. Is this really helpful? Shouldn't I be thinking about how I can repair this instead of what a shit I am? So really examining your thoughts. And the other thing that you can do is you can do self-care practices that support you reprogramming yourself. For example, you could make yourself a tape. You could get out your cell phone and record on your cell phone a little 3-5 minute self-love, beautiful self messages, and listen to that every morning for 3 weeks. Because again, the research tells us that shifts traditionally take about 21 days for us to really make a shift. We have to do something consistently for 21 days. So that could be something that you could do. That doesn't sound like that's what your deal. You could decide you're going to do something really sweet for yourself that doesn't cost money every day for 21 days, that you're going to treat yourself like you're really special. The things that you would do for someone that is really special and you want to attract that person, now you're doing it for yourself. So you are giving yourself bubble baths. You are spraying the room with scents that you like. You are wearing fabrics that feel really good to your skin. You are having dance breaks if you are somebody that likes to dance. Even at work, you're going into the bathroom and having like a 3-second, I'm getting jiggy with it, dance break. Like, you are doing things that celebrate you, because you incarnated as you in this lifetime. You're no dummy. You picked the person you wanted to be, and there's got to be a good reason for that. So you need to celebrate that.
Thank you. And that was the third one.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had a similar experience for what you were talking about for embodiment around dancing. I started belly dancing about 3 years ago, and it made me realize how important it was to actually be in my body and instead of being in my head. So can you talk to that a little bit around dance and how that helps you to embody yourself and the importance of actually being in your body?
Yeah. So the thing about it is, wow. I'm just thinking about what perspective do I want to come from, because for me it's like
I know it's
multifaceted.
big.
Everything that I get from dance. For one thing, when I dance deep, I'm really tapping into my body's wisdom. And my body has a very different way of understanding things and perceiving things than I might in my head. I also get in touch with my own lusciousness. When I see pictures of myself or I see any footage of myself moving, I'm like, oh my God, that's me. That's me. And because there's this place that we get to when we're fully embodied in motion, so much has been written about that. Doesn't have to be dance if that's not your deal. Maybe you like running, maybe you like walking, but there's something that happens to us when we are in movement. They call it being in the zone. And when you are in that place, so much of you just gets nourished. It's kind of like, remember what earlier when I was talking about like the evolutionary reasons why we as humans tend to be negative. It just pierces through that. Now, of course, there are physiological reasons for that. You have glands throughout your body, like you have big glands in your neck that release endorphins. So when you're dancing, if you're moving your neck, you're going to release those endorphins and flood yourself with feelings of goodwill, of a sense of well-being. Same thing that can happen if you're running, just the movement of gravity as you go up and down. It's stimulating the glands in your neck, the glands in your footbeds. So there are physiological reasons for this. But, just on every level, your ego, your sense of achievement, I did that, gets rewarded when you move. If you are a spiritual person, you know that we get into a very deeply meditative state with repetitive movements, right? I mean, I was raised Catholic. That's why people, sorry to do this, but my battery is low, so I just have to attach the screen for a second. Sorry.
That's okay.
You know, so the reason why people say rosaries is because it's repetitive. It gets them into a meditative state. And many, many religions have that. I know in the Jewish faith, people, you know, I think it's called davening. So those repetitive movements get you into this meditative state where you sort of transcend who you are as an individual and you become part of the collective, or, you know, I think it's called cosmic being or something like that, cosmic reality. So there's a way that we get to transcend the limitations of being in a physical body. That happens. Yeah, so those are the three things that I think.
And if somebody is still kind of like in that point where they've just recognized all the negative stuff, self-talk, and I know you've talked about it a little bit already, but what kind of things can they do to make sure that they stay on track to stop the negative self-talk? Because I think that sometimes one of the things that I have with clients that have this issue is that, you know, when I talk about mindset with them and having that shift, it just seems so overwhelming to start, or it just seems like it's impossible for them to be able to have that shift. So what kind of advice would you say to somebody with issues?
So I just think that there's probably a lot that they're not noticing. You know, sometimes when you're at one place in the continuum and you have it in your mind that this you want to be over here, that as long as you're not over here, you might not notice the progress that you've made, the subtle shifts that you have made. So just be mindful of that. Be mindful of how important it is to be as generous as you can with yourself. Just notice where you're being stingy and you're not giving yourself credit for the small steps that you are making. The other thing I think is to find ways where you can be held accountable. That's why going to you, taking a class, you know, you mentioned belly dance, taking a belly dance class. If you like free movement, finding a 5 rhythms class, because it's consistent. So there's a way that you are being held accountable. You're not just hiding on your couch, like binge watching Netflix. So consistency is important. I think journaling is also important because it's a way of you actually seeing your thoughts on paper. So you get a chance to kind of notice like any patterns and think about what subtle shifts you can make with those patterns. But a big thing for me is Christian gratitude. I really think that, like, when I'm really feeling down, I'm really feeling my worst. A trigger for me can be if I'm going someplace that I've never been before and I don't have much information about it. So I'm not really sure how to dress. And I kind of think, oh, well, probably I should be wearing this. And then I get there and it's a complete, like, wrong thing. So, for example, last Saturday, I went to something called Tantric Speed Date. And I placed emphasis on the speed date. So I thought it was something that you should get dressed up. So I got there and I was, you know, really dressed up. Everybody was wearing like yoga clothes. And here I was, like, really dressed up. And in the past, that could have been something that would have made me feel not confident. But I just know that I'm a radiant being and I made a little mistake. And it wasn't really a big deal. However, if you are someone that where you are right now, you're still in a place where that might send you into this tailspin of self-doubt and you won't feel good about yourself, then it is so important at that point to have a gratitude practice, because your brain is going to go on overload because that's what it likes to do. Of, oh, this, and then might even start listing all the other times that maybe you made a mistake. So I find in moments like that, it's so important to just be grateful, to notice everything that went well. I got a cab right away. I got able to get there on time. I'm grateful that, I'm smiling at people and they're smiling back. Like, just to notice all the things that you're grateful for. And some days it may be really hard to come up with 10 things, but they're there. I'm grateful for breath. I'm grateful for another chance to get it right. I'm grateful for myself. I'm grateful for my ancestors, because the choices that they made are why I'm here now. So I think it's so important to be grateful, to notice what is going well. Again, a big part of it is really retraining your brain and knowing that, if you are somebody that has a spiritual life and you believe that we have a creator, then remember that our creator does not make junk. Okay, nobody's just creating junk, okay? No one's doing that. So of course you're magnificent. You can't help but be. And if you're someone who, I don't really believe in that religious stuff, know that there are laws to this universe. There is a rhyme and a reason behind things. And so if you really believe that, then you know that, again, you can't be junk. You've got to be magnificent.
Wow, it's amazing. So we only have about 5 minutes left. Is there anything that you'd like to say about body confidence that I haven't asked or we haven't already discussed?
I think it's so important to celebrate who you are every single day. Like, really, and it's not, it's not, it's not hubris. It's not being conceited. It's so funny. When I was growing up, a good reason for girls to not like you is she thinks she's cute. And it's so funny. I never said it, but I always wonder, well, if she doesn't think she's cute, who will? Like, what am you supposed to think? I'm just a mess? Like, no, you are supposed to think you're cute. So it might not be what you see. Oh, yes. I hope I can be succinct about this. I was in a relationship where somebody was hot and cold. And I'm so grateful for that relationship, because it gave me a chance to work on a lot of deep-seated issues as I tried to make sense of what was happening between us. And one of the things that I have had a pattern of doing is if only. Like I told you, I grew up in a slender family of really glamorous, I come from a showbiz family, really glamorous sisters. And they are beautiful in ways that are more universally accepted. So I had this thing of if only, because I would think, oh, well, I have the same genes. It's in me too. We're blood sisters. So if only, if only, if only. And I was doing that a lot with him. Like, if only I looked like this, then he would be more attentive. If only, if only, if only. And then I had an epiphany. I realized that that was my work. That my work is really to see my beauty, regardless of whether other people see it or not. Because depending on your body type, you could be living in a time when your body type is not as appreciated as maybe it was in the past, or perhaps it might be in the future. In this particular time, your body might not be what's in fashion. Your work, just like my work, is to, regardless of whether it's mirrored back to me or not, know your value, know your beauty, know that all forms are beautiful. When I was growing up in the 70s, big breasts were not in fashion because people needed to go braless. The tops and everything were not set up so that you could wear a bra. Mm-hmm. The models were twiggy. They were flat-chested women that had very androgynous shapes. And then here I am, and I'm seeing that women are paying cash money to get implants. So I'm sharing this with you so that you will know that the body is not a fashion statement. How could it be that 40 years ago, the female form was supposed to be as androgynous as possible? You were not supposed to have boobs that moved. The best boobs were very small so that they didn't shimmy. So how can you wear these tops and not look slutty? You know, some of the tops would be down to your belly button. Even if you're not big breasts, but enough so that they're moving, that was considered looking slutty. So please, this is bullshit. This idea that this is beautiful, that's fucking bullshit. Because they change your mind all the time. And you might not be living at a time when that particular shaped leg or thigh or butt or whatever it is in fashion. You are not a fashion statement. You are beautiful. Just like I am not a fashion statement. I am beautiful. And that's it.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much. I'm just so excited to interview you. And again, if they want to reach out to you, Kiara, how do they go about doing that?
Okay. If you want to email me, it's Kiara at shakingspiritwaves.com. All one word, Kiara at shakingspiritwaves.com. And my website is shakingspiritwaves.com.
Great, thank you very much. And I just wanted to mention next week I'm offering a free workshop on releasing your inner critic. And then after that, in the October 22nd, I am offering an 8-week program on Confident Strong, a series of self-belief. So all that information will be in the link below. Thank you again so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm really grateful to share this, because the more people that really deeply and truly love themselves, the more love we're going to have in the world, the better the world is going to be for all of us.
Absolutely. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.